Back again for another ride stream, rapid app development. I got Dwight jumping on in a few, I think. We want to talk about a couple of kind of odd bubble features that no one really talks about all that much, right? The JSON export, a couple of those, the what is it called? The optimization. It's like optimize your app. There are a couple of weird little features that I think often get ignored, don't get talked about too much. So we're going to chat about that tonight. Dwight, what's up, buddy?
What's going on?
How you going, man? We're live.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so you brought up a couple of topics. Well, first off, how you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Happy holidays.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Yep.
Last I checked, you were moving some workflows to the back end. How did that go?
Yep. So got everything there. Used a bunch of those trigger when this database action happens
Oh,
and
nice.
good to go. So yeah, a bunch of them, don't want to really mess up kind of my UAT environment. So I have some terminations at the beginning of them, but I will turn them on when I go live. So
What is UAT? I know I should know that. I just don't. I don't
yeah,
remember what
just
it stands for.
user acceptance testing.
User
Yep.
acceptance testing. Got you. Yeah. Nice. Did you find it difficult to like figure out which workflows to move to the back end, or was it pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. I would say it basically came down to what things or what functions needed to occur regardless what page someone was on, or if they were not even looking at the app at the moment. uh so it came down to that. I will say that the other thing with the back end, or using those trigger befores and do this before versus after, is some of the functionality is stripped down because it goes solely based on whatever type of thing it is, and you can only kind of reference the before and the after of the thing. So you can't, for example, say give me the user's last login date before the change, and then give me and see if it's greater than or less than today's current date. There's no function that will allow you to pull up today's current date on the opposite end of that. So it's got some things you got to kind of figure out, and work around. But
Yeah, it sounds like
yeah,
you're using the database triggers quite a bit.
yep,
Gotcha.
exactly.
Understood. All right, man. So you had a couple of what I was calling out before you jumped on was just like I think the thing you sent an email with the kind of a list of things that you want to talk about.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of people talking about this stuff, right? Like no one ever
yeah,
talks about the JSON export because, like, what do you
yeah.
do with it? You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, and that's pretty key. Is like, if you care about maintaining your work, you know, uh, you got to know what to do with it. If you're taking it from there, and again, I think even when we looked at it before, it may not even necessarily go to a straight JSON file. It goes to some type of bubble file type or something. So I mean, we may have to dig into that and see exactly how to
You want
parse that. Yeah.
to start with that one?
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with that one.
All right.
Do you have like a dummy app, not as bulky to maybe test?
Yeah, I'm gonna use one that I'm not really using all that much now. There is some, basic logic. There's actually a bit of logic in here, but it's not a very big app. I've kind of stopped working on it. Let me share my screen. I think this will be a good example for what we're trying to test
Perfect.
for and figure out. You got my screen?
Yep.
All right, cool. So when we talk about the JSON export, we're in settings. And I do think you need to be on a paid plan in order to do this. So I want to call that out. This one's on a personal plan. General, right?
Yep, right there.
Okay,
So
so
export and then you import.
all right. So I actually was playing around with this a little bit earlier today. So if we export the application,
And then does it export your database as well, or is it just I mean, to me,
That's
it
a,
would have to grab the database, right?
I honestly don't think it does. And maybe we can check that out. So if we go to like my file structure now, right? Let me pull this up.
Yeah, and let's say if you were to like maybe create a new app and try to import this into a new app, would it just like lay everything out as you had before, or
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. I'm pretty sure that if I take this and then import it into like say for example, I exported that, made a bunch of changes here in this app, like, got rid of this, got rid of this stuff, and then I re-imported the old version, it's going to restore, it almost creates like a restore point. That's the interesting part. It almost like goes back to a different point in time, the time when you exported it, right? And
okay?
we could do an example of that, but I want to show you like the what I was finding with the open with. So you can open this. It is a bubble.is file, which
Hmm.
is pretty, useless outside of working in Bubble. But this is the type of information that you get. So this is like the information about, I guess, one of my elements. I don't know what ACR would mean because I definitely don't have any elements that are named ACR in this app. We can even check that. Let's see. ACR. Yeah, see, there's no elements that are named ACR. So I don't know what that means. You could do this with your app too if you want. You just got to open it in a
Yeah.
notepad. But you can see it's got the styles, the height, the width, states. I don't really know what any of this means. Get element, message, or message is empty. Are these conditionals? Element ID is ACQ. This seems like some internal bubble, uh, you know, key value pairs that don't really line up to like the names of the elements here. This is a
Yeah.
group, ACS. Again, I don't know what that is. Group C. This could be like, I think what it is like, it's not what I named it. It's what Bubble names it by default, like default name here, group
Okay.
C. That could just be the third group that I ever put into this app. Again, I'm taking guesses here, but
Yeah. Hmm.
like this is, here's an input, ADB. Default name is input C, input password sign. Oh, interesting. Here we go. Let's see if this one is in there. It's weird. I don't think I would have. Probably have an input password, but I don't usually put my elements in parentheses like that. So input password is there.
Maybe it's a sign up action. Yeah. Or sign up.
Yeah.
So you don't have input password. Gotcha. I mean, input email. Gotcha.
I do have an input email, but I don't have like the parentheses there like it has in
Well,
that one.
is that on a sign up page, or is
So
that
on
what that
this,
references?
maybe that's a good point. Is it on a sign up page? Maybe you sign up as the group. It could be this.
Mm.
It's the parent group here is group sign up login. Oh, there is a group sign up. Yeah. Okay.
But does
Uh,
it say group in the JSON?
mm, no.
Nope. Yeah. Okay.
Name, input, email, sign up. Yeah, I don't know where this part is coming from. This makes sense.
Yeah.
This does. I don't know where that comes from.
And do you have a page? Is your sign up on another page outside of index, or?
Nope, it's all on the same page.
Got it.
All right. So I don't know. Like, yes, these are all elements. Current user. Oh, workflow. Oh, this is kind of interesting, dude. Look at this. You got like condition, not logged in, type current user,
Okay. So the
show.
only wins, yeah. And And actually, that sign up could come from the workflow action, or it could come from on the actual elements attributes.
Yeah, it could
I
be
don't know if
coming
they
from
can.
the workflows too.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to see if your question, like, does the data get exported too? And I assume that maybe I should have asked this first before we dug in, but like you want to know this because like are you just looking for kind of a backup of your app or like what are you looking to do with this?
Yeah, if something happens, or let's say bubble blows up, can I still function without them? Or if I'm trying to scale, or if it's, if I'm trying to deal with, IP copyrights and things of that nature, you know, how does this benefit me? And am I able to essentially just take this, even if I have to export my database things and re-import it into heck a brand new bubble app or something else, will it just automatically lay out plush? you know
I don't I and you know we should probably still go through this, but this is not like exporting the app, right?
yeah,
This is exporting like a JSON version of it, but you wouldn't be able to take this and then translate this into like JavaScript, for example. I know there's converters and stuff like that out there, JSON. I've looked this up in the past, like JSON to Python, thinking that like you could if I could take this export that Bubble gives
mhm,
me and then translate it into an app on like, VS Code or something like that.
yeah,
It doesn't do that, right? This is literally the only thing this really does is like creates an external save point for you to then re-upload back into Bubble at some point. So right, so
gotcha,
a use case of that would be like, all right, say I'm on the personal plan, I can only restore back to 7 days. Like, but I if you export this, save it, you can then bring that version back into Bubble at any point. That's
got it.
to me, that's the only benefit of what they let you export here.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that should be really raised against, and through the bubble community. If Bubble wants to lead the march, for the whole low code movement, you got to give us flexibility for backups. If you guys go out of business, or if you guys get acquired, or whatever the hell it means, we don't want to just be asked out. So the community should just really start pushing the button on that, like just like we push for enhancements and other features. Hey, give us some legit export options and backup options.
Yeah, everyone's it comes up a lot, right? Bubble hears this feedback quite a bit. I'm not sure what is it just about keeping people on the platform? I'm not sure if that's what it is, if that's where the motivation comes from. Is it like I don't know, but I know it deters people from
Yeah.
approaching the platform specifically with the development background. I know you have a dev background, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so
Exactly. I mean, and that's important. And you said what, Flutter converts it to JavaScript, so you can
Fl-
take it outside of Flutter.
Flutterflow literally puts that in their marketing. I think as a position kind of against Bubble, not against Bubble, but just like as comparison to Bubble,
Yeah.
to say like, look, we let you export your code, right? And it's like plain and plain as day the way that they put it out there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the big reason here. I my only thought is that it's difficult to do. I don't know. I have no idea. Honestly, I really don't have any
Yeah, I think it's
good
really
theory.
from what I've seen, is really they are just trying to maintain their proprietary control, and that, folks, if you build something on there, you got to stay on there, or you got to build totally on something else. You know that's from all the kind of looking into, that's really what it comes down to. They want to maintain their proprietary stuff.
They say that. Oh, you when you say proprietary, you mean they're like the code that
Bubbles.
yeah, like
Hmm.
their underlying code that
Right.
builds the application. Oh, that's an interesting thought. I actually
Yeah.
never considered that. I always just thought that like because they say like what you build is yours. But you're talking about like the like as Bubble, like you do things in Bubble. Bubble is writing code for you, and that may be proprietary.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe their code is React Native, and a bit of JavaScript, So I believe that's what that may translate to. It's got to, in order to, So I mean, there could be some additional libraries and things like that they use or whatever, but I believe that's the foundation is built on JavaScript or React. But yeah, I mean, again, you want to lead the charge, you want to take over the market, you want to be the dominator, then go ahead and open up the floodgates. Allow folks to have their freedom that Flutter, or one of the other applications allows them to fix people's concerns.
I definitely think it's more of a concern in the well, no, you know what? There's two types that I hear very concerned with that. It's one that people come from a development background because obviously they want to be able to look under the hood because they can, and two for the others come from non-technical people who were told by technical people that oh you should be able to export the code.
I
Those are the
think
two
one
people.
more too. Yeah, one more is at the end of the day, everyone has to look at the bigger picture. What's next? So what that comes with is scale. If you scale, let's say you scale your application, to a certain form, a certain level. I mean, and something changes, are you asked out and you have to build a backup from scratch? That's what that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, well, the argument from Bubble side is going to be, well, you could scale on Bubble, but I see your point.
Yeah.
Um, the let's see. Let's see if we can get let's see if it actually exports the data. I mean, I don't know. Now that we've kind of like talked through that, do you care that you can even do this, or was it more for just being able to create a?
Well, I do want to see, what it looks like if you would just completely drop it in and create a new application and import it.
Okay.
Would, whether it's an account issue, whether it's, whatever issue, or your database and your backups completely are destroyed or whatever the case it is, if you have this backup in a JSON format on your computer and you import it in a new application, can you get back up and running quickly?
All right. Let's give that test. Let's give that a go. I'm gonna put in. So it looks like I put in landing page random, which was a data type that I created.
Yeah.
And it looks like I do have well, are these look like option sets. This looks like an option set. It looks like it did hold the fields. Like this is a data type, right? So landing page random.
Field
And
name text. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. But does it hold the values? Are there any values in there? First off, is something we should check. Landing page random. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. And another question is the database. When you export, do you have to go to everything type in the database to export it, or there's just one big export button that will just grab everything and you could dump it into a file?
I know that you need to. It's by view. If you're doing like CSV.
Got it. So it says all landing page randoms rather than, so you have to go to basically every data type and export that.
Unless it's doing it here. Unless it's doing it in this in the JSON export, but I don't think it is because I don't see any of the okay, so I should see Discord or Uber in
Yeah.
this file, right? Let's check. Yeah, it
Nope.
can't be found. So it's not exporting. It's exporting the data types, like the types of data that I have set up, but it's not exporting
The
the
app data.
values.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The export will get you all of the data types set up, and we'll test that on an import. But the specific values, you'd have to go individually to each table and export it to JSON. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know because certainly want to start backing up every single data type, periodically. Because I've been backing up the JSON files, but now it looks like I need to back up the actual database.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like that. Yeah, I guess I guess as like a practice, you could do it like once a
Yep.
month, or
Yep.
something like that. And so you just at least you have a save point of the data at that point. I feel like I mean, well, you can kind of do that in like you can go back to a restore point, but
Yeah, but
that's not the
the
same.
restore is only good for what, 14 days or 30 days? I think
Yeah.
14 because with the new pricing, and then you get it jumps to a year maybe.
Well, it's
Uh
7 days on the personal plan.
right. And then
Uh,
14 on the professional, which it used to be 30 days. And then beyond the 14 days is the full blown plan. And I think that gives you 365.
yeah. All right, so let's do this. Let's get the let's change this. We know that the data is not being stored in that file, and that's at least we know. But let's get rid of like this, like the logo here, and the logout button. Right now, in theory, if I upload the file that I exported before I deleted this, they should come back. You know what I'm saying?
True. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. All right, so we're going to import the application now. And I'm going to download. And this is the one. It is a bubble dot. It's a dot bubble file. So I think it needs bubbles.
Yeah.
It needs to be on bubble. I don't think there's anywhere useful that you'd be able to upload this outside of just looking at it in a text file like we're doing. But I don't know where else you would use this.
Yeah, I would say coming into making the decision, um Bubble seemed to initially have a more robust workflow than a lot of the other low code applications. And Flutter was just starting out, so they didn't quite have the community, I would say, in terms of troubleshooting, or when it bounced questions off. And so Bubble seemed to have more of an established community, and so that's what led me, my decision to Bubble. But I just hope it doesn't bite me in the rear end.
Are you regretting your decision, or is this is what are
Well,
the
because
concerns?
I am completely thinking 100% about scale, and eventually IPOs, eventually, like, I'm completely thinking big time down the line. Now, of course, I could have someone, start building on the side or whatever, while I'm going through my initial. But you'd like to have one-stop shop. Like, for example, was it Instagram or Snapchat? I think Instagram, right? Instagram started off before they were acquired. Yeah, before they were acquired by Facebook. Uh, they had, I think, a total of 13 employees. So that's from developers to CTOs to marketing to everything. And that's what companies are are becoming now. Is smaller companies, smaller billion-dollar companies, versus, take for example, Uber or Grubhub or one of the other one, where, I mean, it takes a whole, even Facebook. I mean, it takes a whole team, to get a company from one end to the next. And so the benefit also of having a one-stop shop low code software is, one, you don't really have to worry about the network engineering aspect. You don't have to worry about really your servers and your cloud functions, because kind of Bubble kind of handles all of that, for you, and your structure and things of that nature. So, but when you're thinking further out, you see some limitations.
Well, yeah, the only counterpoint that I would give you here, the only pushback I would say is like, yes, maybe that will be true, but that will be true if that is true. Not even maybe,
Mhm.
that is true. But those would be problems if you're doing this in code anyway, right? Like the way that your infrastructure is built for the first like 10,000 users is not going to look the same when you're at your point where you're IPOing, right? Like
Right.
you would need to
Mhm.
rebuild it anyway. So,
Right. Well, the thing now that is also come into play is, I mean, you got cloud architecture. So, versus where you needed folks with sitting in rack rooms and server rooms, or maintaining all that stuff. Now you can just offshoot something to AWS or to Azure, and it's easier to kind of maintain your loads or whatever. If you get an influx of folks, so that's become easier. You know, Gone are the days where you needed, again, kind of a ton of folks, even from the marketing side. You just maybe buy some ads on YouTube or whatever, versus you gotta, maybe back in the day you had a whole marketing department, that came up with things, and they bought commercials and did digital prints and all that stuff. So the need for a larger company has dwindled, so but the biggest thing is the technology, or your platform. So if you can keep that small and know without a doubt you can scale this motherfreaker to $1 billion company with no concerns, and where you still have control. Because I mean, what $1 billion company doesn't want control of their own product?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think that's a lot on the forefront of a lot of people's minds.
Yep.
Check it out. So I did upload this, and
Okay.
it did bring back the elements that I deleted. So it definitely creates it basically creates a restore point, right? This is the time that it was re-uploaded. What is it? 7/19/21. Yeah, that was
Okay. So it overwrites your previous restore points.
it. I didn't have any in here because I haven't
Okay.
used this app in a
Gotcha.
while,
Mhm.
but it definitely, like, whatever was in the editor, it overrode that. So
Okay.
it's kind of interesting if you think about it. Like, what would happen if you uploaded a totally different app in here? Would it just
Well,
wipe
and that's what I'm
everything
saying.
out?
If you went to create a new app and imported that same file, what does it look like? Because it doesn't export your database, and you obviously need those for the things that you're displaying. So let's see what happens with that. Does it give you an error? Does it say you're missing a bunch of data types? What happens when you import?
The data types are in there. Oh, you want to delete it? You want to test that again? Maybe delete a data type and then test that again?
Well,
That
I'm saying because you still have your database, right?
Yeah.
So
If I delete one of these data types, I think you're saying that, like, if I delete this data type and then re-import that stuff,
yeah,
is it
is it gonna
go?
right? Is it gonna bring it back? Right.
Yeah.
Basically the same thing if you had no data types in a brand new application and imported it,
All right.
would that be recreated?
Let's try that. Let's try that. So let me create a save point before I
Yeah.
fuck everything up in here, right?
Yeah.
I'm really gonna destroy this app. Let's see, deleting data types. All right, so let me get rid of client, for example. And I should get a bunch of issues. Yeah, I got 6 issues for that. I don't want to delete all of them. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
delete that one, all right? I'm a
Yeah, it
little
makes
scared.
sense. I
I'm
mean,
a
yeah.
little scared to to do too much. All right, so if what we're thinking is correct, I mean, even though it's deleted, it's Bubble still stores deleted data types in case you do want to reintroduce one. You know what I mean? Like, just because I deleted what was that I just deleted? Clients.
Yeah.
That data is still somewhere here. I think you can even, yeah, see it says show deleted data types,
Yep.
and it's not here. So the app data, while it's not showing up here now, I'm pretty sure is maintained. Pretty sure that's maintained in the background. And what that should, you know what I'll also do is delete the random landing page stuff, because there's not much. I know what data is there. It's just a bunch of companies random. All right, so I've got 10 companies here.
Okay.
All right, so if I get rid of those, let's get rid of that landing page random. And then let's go and import that same file. Back to settings. My guess is that it's just going to restore.
That's what it should do. It should, have it restored.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
My guess is that those issues will go away and the data types will be restored and the data that was in there is still there. That's what I would expect to happen. I guess we'll find out. Now, the only other thing that, I don't know if we want to test this, but the only other thing is like, what if you upload a totally different application? Like, what if you export your bubble app and I import it here? What would happen? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, true.
that would be, it's a little extreme. I don't know in what situation you would ever want to do that, but I'm just kind of
Yeah, I
curious to
mean,
see what would happen.
hey, I like running experiments, test it and see if it breaks. You got to know.
All right, it's reloading. It looks like my issues are gone. My client is back. My random loading page random is back. Client is there. Yeah, so it did what we expected.
Okay.
All
So
right,
everything's
so
there.
yeah, I mean, at least you could rest comfortably with that, knowing that you can always at any point export the JSON file of the app, and in addition to the I guess you don't have to, but you probably do want to export the actual like data tables
Yeah.
like
You
in
got to
this
get the
way.
data tables right. For example, like you could have like in my case, I have a button that, for example, a gender button. If that button is clicked, it's going to display the genders that I have in my database, male, female, non-binary, whatever. And if that's gone, that button is immediately broken.
Mm.
So yeah, there are definitely cases where you want that the database for sure. Yep.
All right, so now we know. We know about that. Anything else you want to do with the
Yep.
import stuff?
No, I think that solves it on the import. I would like to, if you go back to the to that settings page, I would like to see what that optimization does.
Yeah, this is I've never used. Well, I mean, I've played with it, but I've never actually done this. Optimize application. It mostly tells you, yeah, this is what I was expecting. It mostly tells you like if you have an unused plugin or unused styles, which I can't imagine have a tremendous performance impact on your application.
Mm-hmm.
If this told you what I would you what this would it what would be useful here is if it told you like this workflow is using a very heavy
Yeah.
search constraint or something, or the way that you're using a front end you're using a client side search to perform this search and that's slowing your app down. But look
Yeah,
at this,
that'd be
like
awesome. Yeah.
this just tells you like unused style property, unused, like this is
And
not.
but and a bunch of those styles are default in the app anyways.
Yeah, exactly. See, these are all styles. The only ones that this is kind of useful for is I'm not using
Plugins.
Giphy. Yeah, the unused plugins, and that actually will speed up the performance of your app if you get rid of a bunch of unused plugins. So this does help with. I mean, like, yeah, this mostly gives you like
Yeah.
style. Oh wait, there was something else. Deleted field. There's deleted fields. Well, I guess by hitting clean app, I would delete those. I don't really. Well, I don't want to get rid of the plugins.
And another thing that would be useful is if it gives you some metric on the performance before and maybe after you clean the application.
Yeah, I don't think
So
we're.
like what's the real benefit.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna get all that, but you know what? Let's try it. Let's try a small test here. Let's go. Let's get rid of. I do want to keep Giphy chart elements. I'm pretty sure that these are being used. The confetti animation. Don't I have that on one of these pages? The random selector. Yeah, confetti A.
Jeez.
Confetti animation. Oh, maybe there's two of them here. One of them's a crappy one. Elements confetti. Maybe this is the one that I'm not using.
They're both called confetti.
Yeah.
Oh, confetti animation versus confetti. So which one is that?
Yeah, that's probably. Confetti animation. All right, so let's get rid of that one, right? And let's also get rid of one of these styles. Primary button light.
So it doesn't even give you a success. Your application is now optimized. It doesn't tell you anything.
We got a it did get rid of the unused plugins.
Yeah.
So it did that correctly. But this, and I assume, I mean, I would imagine it got rid of the style. I don't know if I have to search for the style here. Primary. Yeah, I don't think it was the button. I think it was something else. All right, so I mean, again, I think it's good for like a quick analysis of what plugins you're not using, but other than that,
Yeah.
I don't know how much this really is going to clean your app up. It's real. I think when you think, like, when you're thinking about it, you're thinking about like, all right, what's going to make the page load faster? What's going to make like my workflows better? Which workflows are possibly inefficient? And there really isn't at least a good native bubble.
Yeah, it should be able to tell you, like, okay, this workflow action took this long to process or takes this long to process versus, another. And I mean, that would be helpful. If you know, okay, this action was taking you 30, 40 seconds versus, 3 seconds running through the whole scenario.
That would be interesting. Yeah, there's a number of different places that I could use that. I can't even think of any third party or plugin that does that. That gives you like.
I'm sure there are for sure.
You think? I haven't seen anything like that will give you like a performance.
Oh, not in Bubble, not in Bubble.
Yeah,
no.
in Bubble.
Yeah, not in Bubble. No. But in like if you're just downloading something in like Visual Studio, there's some libraries and things like that would give you some metrics on that. But
gotcha.
Yep. So not in that. So all right. So now we know.
Okay. Now we know exactly.
So did you see that Bubble came out a couple weeks ago with I guess preset containers or something for like templates for pages or something? What is it called?
The components?
Yeah, maybe it's the components or something.
Yeah,
basically
library.
you can get up to a website quicker, whatever. So one of the things I wanted to do is so I basically have my kind of generic index page, which essentially just says, hey, application coming soon, stay tuned, whatever. But it's on the old version. Really maybe using that as my launching point to convert over to the responsive side, and giving basically a couple options. One, making that now be my new index page, and then giving a sign up on that index page, as well as maybe some buttons that says down, although it's not ready yet, but download from iOS, download from Apple, I mean from Android, or whatever, just so it basically looks live, and on the responsive side. So and that would be my kind of foot in the door before having to make that conversion if I need to.
Well, do you want it? Do you want it to point to those links to point to anything like the get on?
For now, they can point to let's just say the app stores, but I do want it to be an active sign up, to where folks could, I don't know, maybe pre-register their email or something or their telephone number.
Yeah, gotcha.
So that way when we blast out, hey, we're live, they got first dibs.
I actually have something set up with the way that you're describing, and I'll make a few suggestions. Let me show you. This is a client that we worked with, still kind of working with, Melonseed. So melonseed.co. This is their like landing page, right? And this is where they build the search engine optimization. This is not Bubble. that they build this themselves, and the reason they didn't use Bubble is just because like it was easier for the founder to build on. I think it's Webflow. I'm not sure if it's Webflow. It might be WordPress even.
I have heard that on going back to the research back in 2019, early 2020, a lot of folks were using Webflow or something else for the same method and just using Bubble for the workflow logic.
Well, it makes more sense. It's easier. But Webflow is specifically built to build very beautiful landing pages very quickly, and they have a lot of built-in like search engine optimization. That you don't like. Bubble has a lot of SEO stuff, to be honest, but it's not easy. Like knowing how to do the sitemap, the TXT files, doing all of the headers on your HTML, like the HTML attributes. You have to know a little bit about SEO in order to do that. Whereas I think so the functionality is there, but it's harder. It's harder to find.
Yep.
And on Webflow, it's kind of just like built into their normal onboarding. Like there's an actual audit function in Webflow to say like, it'll tell you if like a link is missing a, descriptive text or,
Gotcha.
like you're missing the headings or whatever. So it's really built for that.
So does Webflow integrated into Bubble using the API, or is just Webflow is just the kind of landing page, and then based on the links and selections, it will then all shoot to Bubble or whatever?
Exactly. So check this out. Exactly. So the latter. This is whatever it's called, Webflow. I don't think it is Webflow, but I think it's something close to it. When you hit the download page, it takes you to melonseed.app, and this is Bubble now. We're now in Bubble. All right.
Okay.
So, and then if I click the get it on the App Store, that'll actually take you to the the App Store where this app lives. That was Google Play, and then we have it on Apple here. But I know you don't want to have to learn another platform. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you haven't used Webflow before how similar it is to Bubble. So you'll probably be used to it pretty quickly. But if your concern is like SEO and building a responsive landing page, not that you can't do that on Bubble, but Webflow is just designed for that kind of thing. Bubble is web applications. Webflow is certainly made for websites.
So question: how different is Webflow from Wix?
I've used both actually. Wix can get pretty in depth. Like there's two versions that I've used. There's like the Wix, like the dummy Wix ones, where it's just like it's just kind of drag and drop, and you move the container around, and that one's easy. And then there's another one that goes a little bit deeper, where I think you're kind of like it's more like Webflow. Would I choose one over the other? Probably Webflow, because I know more people that use Webflow, and I know if I get stuck, I can ask for help. But is it better than Wix, or is one better than the other? I have no idea. Because I haven't built that many landing pages.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm trying to think about, and so looking at the URL there, I'm trying to think about how is that structured, because it started off as whatever the app name was .co. Okay. And Bubble requires you to, the same thing I'm assuming Wix would. They want to maintain your where you're pointing your domain, and so splitting that up, is Webflow handling that automatically, or?
Well, you can point to anywhere from a Webflow link. This is just a link here that points to the Bubble app.
Right. Well, I was saying, for example, so Melonseed, instead of .co, what if it's just melonseed.com? Okay, so you buy from GoDaddy, whatever, melonseed.com. Your Bubble application is on melonseed.com. And Webflow, do you want to send them to melonseed.co, or do you want to streamline it and also be at melonseed.com?
I don't think you can have.
And then that's offshoots.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's the problem.
I see what you mean. I don't know.
Because then you have to SEO both of them essentially. I
Well,
mean, well, not necessarily both, but if you're focused on one, but it's still kind of, I don't know, dirties it up a little bit.
I don't know. I don't really see the need to build SEO on your like bubble login screen. Like, who cares? Like as long as they're getting to your site, they're getting to
Mhm.
your main site, and that guides them to where they can download the app. To me, it makes sense to just build the SEO on one domain and then
Yeah.
have that, when people get there, that has them point out to wherever they need to go to download the app. Like, do you think about building look like this, for example? Do you think about building SEO on a page like this? You know what I mean? Like, this is Apple. Apple doesn't care about this. They just want you to get here through some other place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never really think about building. I never really even thought about building SEO on my Bubble app because I use Card or Webflow. Like, this is my website.
And I'm going to test that. I'm going to drop it in Google and just see what happens on the SEO. So melon seed, what is it? MELONSEED.
Melon seed, yeah. Try that. See what comes up.
Melon seed. All right. Okay, so melonseed.com. Crawford Boating, is that what it is?
Nope. The remarkable skiff. Nope, this is on page 2. It's on page 3. Helping veterans find jobs.
Gotcha. And
That's the
then
first
that's
place that I
right.
see it.
So that's okay. And then that's Veterans Affairs.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So the other thing is, because so in the past I've done a lot of SEO for like music and stuff like that. So you got to index these things and all of that, even outside of what you kind of put in on your app. You got to do backlinks and things of that nature to get them ranked higher.
Here it is.
Uh,
Check it out. It's on page 4.
Page
This,
4.
this is
Okay.
the actual well, this is melonseed.app. So interestingly enough, the app site, the bubble site, ranked higher than the what do you call it? The product page, melonseed.co. Now, I don't know
Right.
if that again, like I think you were about to say this, but like I don't know if they set this up in the way that would optimize for SEO.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not sure how they set this up, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, you want to try to, from an SEO aspect, you want to try to keep it as clean as possible, because you're obviously competing with, anything else that sounds remotely similar to that. And so, kind of all of that muddies the water, or you have to invest more in backlinks and deep links and, all that other stuff. So,
But question
uh,
from someone who's done that before, doesn't it make more sense to direct everybody? And I'm asking because I don't know. Doesn't it make more sense to funnel everybody into one page? Like your site, and then backlink out to wherever else they need to go? Isn't that the like most efficient way to do search engine optimization?
yeah. So, and again, it depends. You kind of want, so I mean, so ultimately the end goal is you type in melon seed and everything, everything is indexed on the first page, from the Apple link to, whatever else, all the other links that are associated with it. So if you have to um put in because again, you still have to index, although it's on Apple, you still have to do deep links and backlinks and index the Apple website, for your whatever your search keyword is. You also have to do your website for whatever search keyword is. So I mean, it's more of an investment if you do send them to one page that's not the page that they're being forwarded to, in this case, because it's basically going from one version of your website to another version of your website where they're really getting the real info on the second version.
Gotcha.
So it's different than you going to your website and you have major links that are there. So you're going straight to Apple, you're going straight to Android system. So that's when it gets, or you're going straight to Instagram from your one website that you've SEO'd the heck out of. When you're forwarding it to another kind of, just not the right term, but internal website or internal link, it muddies it up a little bit more, and it takes a little bit more work. There are certainly companies. I mean, there's a shit ton of companies that are doing it that way. How it currently is, but again, it just depends on that person's SEO, their settings, how much of a, because you could rank today on Google's page, but if you're not maintaining that SEO, or if it's not constantly getting hits, or if it's not being fed into other sites, whatever that website is, you'll start to lower down that ranking, and then a couple months down the line, you can be back on page 2.
Oh man, I haven't done shit. Do me a favor. Check. Type in. Can you share your screen and type in Payhouse? I want to see if that ranks for you. I haven't done anything on the SEO front. I built my website in Card because I love how easy it is to build a website on Card, but I've never set up any of the SEO settings.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the thing. So what is it?
Type in just Payhouse.
That's you right there, right?
That's it. I'm at the top.
Payhouse.co.
Yep, that's me. Sweet. All right, so I'm ranking. What is the
And I would say also the other thing that really helps is when you have a more unique name, you have less chance of people outranking your whatever it is, so so that helps as well.
I've heard that. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So I picked a stupid name that really doesn't make any sense, but at least it's good for SEO.
Exactly. So versus if you were to say, hey, my name is, I don't know, James Walker. I don't know if that's somebody, and let's say maybe that's your website. You got one person, James Walker here. You got another Pinterest profile here. Someone's YouTube there. Then you got the James Walker. So someone who's dropped the S from it. So you just have a lot more competition with, and that you will have to continuously feed unless your program or your application or your blog or whatever it is already getting kind of continuous hits from forward links, or whatever it may be. So yep. So
gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Unique, because you see
unique keyword.
James Walker, then you got Jamie Walker, James, whatever, so it's just constant, another handle there, so it's all different stuff. So yep.
Gotcha.
But again, the more unique the name is, and then you run into scenarios where okay, is it just James Walker one word, or are folks putting in a space, or is it James Walker tool shop? You really have to on the SEO, you have to put in all of these keyword functions of what you think someone might look up in order to rank all of that stuff on Google. So you got to put in basically all the search terms that you think, and then there's a fine line, because if you put in too many, then Google themselves will ding you and say, okay, it's overkill, and then they'll force you down further, so it's an art for sure.
I've heard keyword stuffing, right? If you use too many of the keyword that Google will catch you and kind of punish you and rank you down a little bit.
Yep, exactly.
Here's 2 more I wanted to just point you to. This one is yep.so. It's a landing page builder actually built on Bubble, believe it or not. It's really quick in making, landing page, the grab here is from idea to signups in 15 minutes. And it literally does exactly what you were describing. You build a really simple landing page, cover a few of the key objections that you think your users or your audience is going to, it's going to resonate with you. And then at the bottom, you have get early access or sign up now. You know what I mean? It's just really basic.
Okay.
No.
Yep.so.
Yeah, yep. That is. I put it into the chat. I don't know if you got the if it comes through on your
Oh
end.
yeah, I see it.
This one I've been using this to test some just like positioning of the real estate product that I'm working on, and it's fast. It's fast as hell, man. If you don't want to have to learn like Webflow, or you just like you mentioned subscriptions, you're not ready to actually like put the full page out there yet. This might be a good option.
Okay. So is let me think about what this would be called. Let me just grab a field here. Crap. Oh, let me think about it. Workflow. Sub.
Are you creating a page right now?
I am trying to see. I'm looking for. I forgot what it's called. I don't know if it's Slugify. Slugify.
Slugify. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, Slugify. So it's a function within. See this. Making something that Slugify.
Instantly generate SEO friendly and human readable URL slugs. Is it this?
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe that's an offshoot. So it's actually a function in Bubble, and I'm trying to see if that is the same thing or what's its actual purpose.
Can you share your screen? I'm not seeing your screen anymore.
Yep. Oh, wrong screen. All right.
Got you.
Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yep. So I just created some generic thing or whatever, but I was trying to get over where it shows you the reference page, and it won't show it. The little reference pop up on the right. I can see it coming from for the set of things slug. Maybe I'll just use that and go to Slugify. Is that how you spelled it? Slug, IFY, right? Slug, IFY. Nothing. Yeah. Am I tripping? Slugify.
I've never heard of it. I've never heard of Slugify.
This is on Bubble Docs. I mean, nothing's even pulling up for it. Let's do this, maybe. Nothing. Okay. Let's see if slugs come up. Okay, so kind of just standard slugs.
Ooh, I also wanted to drop this one in the chat too. While we don't have a like what you and I were talking about before, did we lose our? Oh crap! You still got me, Dwight?
Yeah, I'm here.
It's weird that our faces are not showing up on the stream anymore. I don't know if I did something here. I want to drop this Tinsco in the chat.
Okay.
It actually gives you kind of a rundown of the security on your app. Very handy. You put in the app ID, whatever your app ID is, and then you can it just kind of gives you it'll tell you like it tells you like if you have insecure workflows, if you're missing privacy rules, things like that. So not necessarily the performance part that we were kind of like wanting before, but definitely on the security side. it's pretty handy to have, just a quick snapshot of what might be need a little bit.
Okay, so just read your app ID and then it just scrubs it for whatever
That's it, man.
vulnerabilities.
That's all you got to do.
That's nice, awesome. So I'm assuming this was created on Bubble.
I don't know. I'm
Or-
not sure. I forgot who actually created this. It's one of us. It's one of us. It's one of us from Twitter. I forgot
Mhm.
who actually did it though. Tinsco. Let's see. Yeah, I think our faces like froze or something. It's weird on the stream. What are you seeing in the stream in the?
In the stream, I'm just seeing my
Yeah, that's all
screen.
I see too.
Here, let me stop sharing. Okay, now I see both
There
of
we go.
us
Okay.
in the screen. Yeah,
All right. There we go.
yeah.
All right. Tinsco, the no code agency. These are the guys that created it. The no code agency that speaks their language. I think it's an agency, a bubble agency that created it, and they just, they kind of put it out there for people to check their bubble apps, which is pretty cool. Almost like a plugin.
I'm gonna grab one of my test apps, and let's just see what happens. Let me get that app ID. Now this is one that doesn't matter. So it was a template that I bought and never used it or built on it. So let me make sure I don't have any crazy.
I brought your screen back just so you know.
Yep. Okay. All right. Yep. I don't have any database in there, so nothing that puts me at risk. All right. So app ID, where that would be where? In app plan, general.
Go to your. If you look in the URL, does it say? Hold on, let me maximize your screen here. You see.
Oh, ID right here.
Yeah, I think it's just chitter chat up until the and sign. Yeah,
And
that should
okay.
do it.
So let's see here. And again, this is just a template that was bought a while ago. Redirects for private pages.
Are the
Are these
Yeah, I was gonna
clickable?
ask you. Can you click on those or?
Nope. Data API.
You got the Google API keys in there. Do not use your option sets for sensitive data. Okay, it's just kind of telling you your option sets.
Yeah.
What was that?
So
Yeah, I don't think there's too much that's insecure about this app, unless you're storing sensitive data in the option sets. But it seems like you didn't have any like workflows that needed authentication or anything like that.
yeah, no, it's literally I bought a bubble template someone made and I was going to use it for something or I was going to use a portion of it and that was that. So I've never really touched anything on it. I haven't really even set up data
What
structures
was
on it.
that big long list in the beginning there? What was that telling us? Yeah, this whole thing. Oh, is this just the
Pages.
pages? That's it?
The redirects for private
This app
pages.
has 134 pages?
No way. No freaking way.
No. Okay.
Nope.
I guess
Reset password 404. Let's see if that pulls up anything. Oh yeah, it's right there.
consider redirects for
Reset
private
password is right.
pages.
Is it because the app is private?
I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure what this is saying. Like, consider redirects for private pages.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe because it's private, it's not published. If it is live, they're maybe thinking about it from a public perspective. Redirect your private pages to public pages because it's trying to
Maybe.
check.
Let me check
Um,
mine. Let me
okay.
check the one that we were just messing around with, the F loop one. All right, so this is oh right here. ID is F loop.
Secure your private endpoints.
Yeah, see, I think you're right because I only got like one. Actually, I got 9. Consider redirects for
Still
private
popular?
pages. Why is it saying that these are private pages though? These are
Your index is probably public of all things,
yeah. I
right?
don't know why you got 134 on yours. Like there's definitely not 134 pages in your app. So manage data through access. So this is showing. So like this is like a good example of what I would use this for. Like I don't think I have any privacy rules on the prospect table, right? So like it tells you like, all right, those are missing. Workflow endpoints, reorder priorities. So these are probably insecure workflow endpoints. Like I've got a backend workflow, but I don't have any authentication. So basically anybody that knows this URL could run this endpoint, which is, obviously something you don't want in a production environment.
Gotcha.
So that's plugin.
And so so now is that an API on the back end, or that's email?
Yeah,
So is that a database trigger on the back end? What does that relate to,
it's
if you can pull that up?
it's the backend workflows that I have set up here.
Okay, API
You
workflow,
see
gotcha.
how
And so to create an endpoint, what do you need to do?
you go new API workflow, and then I can call this whatever I want. That pretty much creates a new endpoint. So if I run that again, it'll probably pick this up. Check. No? Oh, it may be only picking up the live. Yeah, this is not picking up the dev environment. No, I don't want to push that live, but this is basically how you would
Yeah.
get those. So in the same way that you set up in the same way that you
Mhm.
set up your database trigger, right? Like new database trigger event,
Yeah,
new API
gotcha.
workflow.
Well, I guess I was asking, how do they want you to secure your existing ones?
I think this is secure. Actually, I think that this is just saying that
Or is it just by clicking this workflow, this API can't be run without
exactly.
authentication? Is
Yeah, I
that
think
it?
so. I think the fact that I have this unchecked means that this is
What does reference say when you hover over it? What does the C reference?
exposes a
Check
public.
this box.
Yeah, check this box to allow requests from outside Bubble Editor via the workflow API, either by client that you built or by another service such as Stripe or Zapier. Non-public API workflows are useful because they can be initiated from elsewhere in the app, for example, scheduled workflow and bulk operations. So I'm exposing these right now as a public endpoint. Exposes a public. It's probably because this is checked off. I think this. So it does need to be run through authentication. And I don't think that I really need to be. I don't need to be exposing these as public endpoints at all,
Yeah,
because these are all internal. Like I don't need to be exposing any of these. If I was
right.
running it from like Zapier or Make or something, I should have this checked off, but I don't. That makes sense.
And I'm checking mine to see expose as public API workflow. No, I probably don't want that exposed.
I think by default they are set up to be exposed.
Trigger workflow with posts. Oh, get post. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, see, like the hello one that I just created is it default is exposed as a public.
Defaulted.
Yeah, so it's weird that that's the
Gotcha.
default. But yeah, if you uncheck it, then it's no longer a public API workflow, and it probably wouldn't show up on that audit if I push this live with that checkbox unchecked.
Check this box with this workflow. Oh yeah, so they have to. Yep, they must be logged in.
You mind if I bring your screen back?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just looking at how I had some of my APIs, and so yes, my API was exposed. Plus, I had workflow can be run without authentication, which means basically right here, you want to check users to enable users to basically sign up. Oh well, maybe check this box if the workflow can be run. Users to enable users to sign up or log into the app. Gotcha. Well, that would be for that API, but I don't need it for this particular function, which is just deleting a file. Yeah. Yep. So not public, ignoring privacy rules. Okay.
Nice, man. All right, we covered a lot of ground tonight. I feel like I learned a lot going through this exercise. You know, like I never actually paid too much attention to any of these things, so it's kind of.
Well, you know something that so going back to the Webflow kind of topic, one thing that I did not, and I bookmarked some YouTube videos. I can maybe find that, but I know some people are using Bubble strictly on the API side for the workflow, but they are totally using like Webflow or one of those other applications for the complete front end of the app. And so, are you aware of that or how to do that? I mean, from what it sounds like, they're basically calling every single thing from a Bubble workflow aspect via API action or whatever, and then that's performing all the functions. So they're totally not the whole interface. None of that stuff is in Bubble. It's all in whatever other third party.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine why they would do that. It's not like you could build the same interface on Bubble. You could build a more robust interface on Bubble than you can on Webflow. So I don't know what the use case would be.
Yeah, and I guess folks were saying that from a UI on the front side, Bubble lacks, and some of these other applications really, nail it down. Even some that you don't have to use an app wrapper for, if you were, and which to me might be a little complex, but if you were, using, planning a mobile application. Trying to see if I can find this link here. So this was Bubble. There's YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a use case where it would make sense to do it that way. But the reality is, you could really build anything that you could build in Webflow, you can build in Bubble. It's just that I think designers are more comfortable using Webflow because it's more of a design tool. But using Webflow as a front end and the Bubble logic as a back end, as like Bubble as the logic, that just seems like so much extra work. I don't know why anybody would do that.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely remember seeing a bunch of folks saying, "Oh, well, by far Bubble has the best workflow logic to where you can really get, super creative and really unlimited possibilities in comparison to, some of these other no code or low code applications." But they hated Bubble's front end and interface.
Maybe that was before actually, you know what? It probably was before that.
Again, yeah, that was 2019, 2020. So a lot has probably
that
changed.
does make sense actually, because they probably couldn't build the responsiveness that they wanted to as easily as they could in Webflow. That does make sense. But with the new responsive engine, that doesn't make it does. It's not really. It's just not true anymore. But the old way, yeah, I can kind of see why they would do that.
Okay. So, and let me see if I can find a note really quick. Dev notes here. Oh yeah, this might be a good thing here. Um, and I'll drop a couple of them in the chat if I can find which one. So just want to see your thoughts on some of the other versions of no code applications. Do I have my page here? Crap. That would be, oh, this page is, yeah, here it goes. Now let me find those, that kind of list I saved. Well, okay. I don't want to hold up on that. Let me just pull up a quick search real quick. I guess I'll share my screen if that's cool. Just want to see, with what pops up in the world. So this, are you able to see my screen? So I did type this in here, and bubble absolutely came up. Although that's an ad, but so just want to maybe gauge and kind of see what else. So we'll take a look at Stacker. Maybe we'll pull up no code that, no code family, and maybe one more. I don't know. Let's see what's on page 2. Well, you know what? Let's just look at this here. So we have Notion. Oh no, that's not Notion. That's nothing. Figma, Webflow, Airtable. And is there anything else here? Okay. All right. So 4 best no code apps for builders. We know Bubble is gonna be on there. Okay. Have you had any experience with Thunkable or Stacker? I don't know if you're mute. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I just muted myself. Thunkable. I have heard Jared Gibbs on Twitter loves Thunkable. I've never used it myself. Stacker, I have no idea. I've never used it, and I don't know anybody that does use it. Stacker, Bubble, Thunkable, Webflow. Yep. Stacker was number 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you kind of got to also take some of these things with a grain of salt, depending on who built this website.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at this one here, nocode.tech, right? So let's see what they have. And so I see a lot of sites have Adalo. I think they were one of the very first to market, along with a few other folks. So maybe that's why.
Adalo is definitely newer than Bubble and Airtable and Zapier and all them. They seem, what I've seen a lot of people from Adalo, like a lot of people came to the boot camps. They had started in Adalo. They had hit a development wall. Just some functionality that they couldn't do in Adalo, and then they started to look at Bubble. Adalo or Glide, it seemed to be. Those were the two like starter ones, and then they moved over to Bubble.
Bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of Glide. There is one. What did I call it? What was my search parameters?
Backendless I saw on there. That's kind of a backend tool like Xano. That one I haven't used Backendless.
I've heard of Good Barber as well, but I think their workflow logic. Some of these folks are just really like mobile Wix or mobile web.coms. Where you just kind of building a website, just a responsive website.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of these things.
And I think the problem I think with these is that a lot of them are just doing too much of the same stuff. I just don't see why we need so many of these tools. Like if they were to say like we're doing this exact thing, like we're only doing mobile or mobile native for e-commerce. You know what I mean? Like Yes, okay, that makes sense. That means that all the people that have that type of app that they're building, they're going to flock to that platform, obviously. But like it's hard to know what the difference is of any of these, like they don't clearly
Yeah.
define what problem they're solving and what, use case should be built here.
Yep.
Or
Yep. So I've heard of Xano. Don't know what it is.
Xano's a backend. Xano's a
Uh,
great tool if you're interested in like backend stuff. I'm using
okay.
Xano on one of my apps to import and run CRUD operations very quickly.
So it has the same kind of backend functions that Bubble already has, or more advanced
It's
stuff.
only backend. It's only backend, but it goes a lot deeper than Bubble does as far as like indexing, the speed at which you can run CRUD operations, and you can connect your Bubble app to Xano pretty easily, all through API
Gotcha.
calls.
Okay. All right. And then so I've heard of shout them, whatever. Uh, so they got him ranked. Design freedom very limited. Okay. So now going to, and again, this is just this site, so I'm sure they're being fed something, but all right. So Bubble 3 stars out of 5, and again, just from research, even when I first was getting started, this was pretty much the only knock on Bubble was kind of ease of
Yeah,
use because it was more complex. But but that's what steered me to it because it was more complex, but it was only because it had a more in-depth functionality in terms of what you can really build with an app. Um, and so you know, hopefully folks don't let the ease of use deter them from Bubble.
I'm surprised.
Flexibility, 5 stars there.
Yeah, I'm surprised on the cost effectiveness. Since the Bubble is pretty cheap. Like they
Yeah,
haven't changed their pricing in a while. I'm surprised that they're calling out the
right.
cost effectiveness here. I would have thought that would have rated higher.
Well, yeah, yeah, and compared to other kind of applications or softwares, yeah.
Stage, flip it. Yeah, a lot of these I haven't even heard of.
It's like Good Barber. Yeah, so their thing is like, you know, beautiful, beautiful. I remember them just beautiful, front end and user interface and UI design. You know, I almost wonder, do these folks really, are these companies really using these Good Barber or
I don't know.
it's Coca-Cola and Adidas not using in-house developers and they're using these
It's a good
applications.
question. I know that actually going back to that, what I was saying before about like them kind of defining what they want. Softer. I was on a call with their founder. Have you heard of them? Softer? Yeah,
Softer,
they're another
not sure.
SOFTR. They're another tool. It's pretty exhausting. There's so many of these freaking things. But she was very clear, and I don't think it's clear in their messaging, but it was clear on the call that they're focusing specifically on internal tools, for like not e-commerce businesses, some kind of business. Yeah,
Organizations.
but it's all
Gotcha.
internal. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And when I said that, she said that, I was so relieved. I was like, oh, okay, at least they have a niche. They're not just trying to
Yeah,
catch.
it's clearly defined. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I will say that's the other thing with I'm sure a bunch of these sites is they talk, oh, build anything you want, but when you really look at it, it's more enterprise level applications rather than public facing, you know anyone grab it type of
You mean
app.
like internal tools, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
internal enterprise stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. All right, man. Covered a
Cool.
lot today. You good?
Yep.
All right. Good chatting with you.
Yeah, and when I find that video that and again, it's 2019, 2020, it's probably not needed as now, but why a bunch of folks were saying, yeah, go ahead and use Bubble for the back end, but the front end, use one of these other, companies. I'll send you those videos and see if maybe we can see if the same rules maybe apply now that Bubble has this responsive,
Got you.
agent.
Yeah, let me know. I'm curious.
Yep, for
All
sure.
right, Dwight. Good talking to you, buddy.
All right, man. Have a
Later.
good one.